Hello, good morning. Let me see if we've got, make sure that we've got a video. Hello, good morning. Let me see if we've got, here I am. Okay, I'm going to be switching back and forth. Oh, had my phone on to make sure it was working. It is working and you can hear me. Happy Saturday morning, everybody. I think I feel a sneeze coming on. Maybe not. Okay, so we are blending perfumes this morning. I may have to pause to sneeze in just a minute. I feel it coming. We are blending perfumes, and I'm going to give you all the ins and outs of how to do that. Let me just click around for a second, make sure everything is working. Got a few things I'm going to share with you. I'm so excited because I can actually share my screen with you now and show you. It's a lot easier to show you things than it is to explain it. I have to say a lot more words when I don't have pictures. All right, looks like everything's going. I'm going to wait just a second for people to hop on because I do have kind of like a process we're going to go through. And so I don't want to leave anybody in the dust if anybody wants to watch and do this with us live. Okay. All right, so the first thing that I want you to do is, if you haven't, I know it's Saturday morning and it's like hopefully chill day for you. I hope you get to leisurely enjoy your weekend, the start of the weekend. But there are a few things you need. You actually would be able to use coffee, even if you're not drinking it, some coffee grounds. If you have coffee grounds or a cup of coffee somewhere, that's actually going to come in really handy in a few minutes for more than just drinking. Index cards, you can use a piece of paper. I like the index card because it's a little bit thicker, and we're going to use it to make our blend on it first before we blend it into a bottle, you know, because once you've blended it, then you're kind of stuck with it. So this is how you test it. Pen, because you're going to want to write down what you're putting in there so you don't forget. And you've got some choices of bottles, which I'll show you in just a second. All right, so note card, paper, pen, and your oil collection. Now, I have my oil bag. A few of my oils are scattered across the house, so I've got most of my collection. But you're going to want a good selection of oils to have handy because we're going to sort them. You're going to have to mess up your collection for just a minute. It's okay. So I want to know who, if you're watching the replay or if you're watching this live, I want to know who is going to do this with me so I know who to watch for, or I know just like slow down. Let me know if you plan to do this along with me, because I will slow down if I know that you're actually like doing the stuff. So it's interactive. Please ask questions, whether you're watching live or the replay. Please ask questions on it. Don't be afraid to stop me, slow me down. If I skip something, sometimes I talk really fast. Don't hesitate to ask me to repeat something. And I have some questions for you. So I don't know if you're on your phone or your computer, but kind of keep your keyboard, your hands free where you can like answer questions, because it's going to help me move along through this. And I want to know, before I get into why we do perfume blending, which is kind of a no-brainer, but do you guys use perfume? I know when I was, I've used all different kinds, but one of my favorites, I think, was probably Clinique. And I do think some fragrance companies are working harder to be more natural because they know that's what we're demanding now, because all of the research is showing that we're really hurting our bodies with a lot of the stuff that we're putting on them. But I used to love, I had a whole collection. My whole under the sink was full of Bath and Body Works and Victoria's Secret body sprays. That was probably my main source of perfume, and like lotions, you know, all the lotions. Yeah, so curious, perfume, or essential oils? What do you use to make yourself smell good? And have you made that switch? Like, have you gone from perfume and body sprays, and have you cleaned out your counter? Have you gotten on the Think Dirty app or the Environmental Working Group, EWG.org? Have you looked up your specific perfume or lotion or body spray on there just to see what's in it? I'm going to talk to you about that. Not going to spend a whole lot of time on that. You guys, you know the gist of it. We're here to make perfume, but I just want to throw this in there for anybody that doesn't know. So we're blending Perfume today. Perfume that is pure, has health benefits, has emotional and mental. I'm going to get into a little bit of that, the emotional and mental benefits of this, how you know what those are. It's a completely non-toxic way to perfume yourself. Use it for body spray. You can use it for a room spray, car spray, and we're using, of course, doTERRA. This is our private member group, and so everybody in here has their doTERRA oils. They are CPTG, it means certified pure. There is no agency that certifies them, but doTERRA has set up their own system because this did not exist before doTERRA decided this was needed. The industry of essential oils is just all over the place, and some scientists got together and decided that that these were so powerful and so useful, while also very safe and simple, but that they needed to be a standard quality so that the universities and hospitals that really wanted to take them seriously and use them for research for health benefits could do that. But when the quality was changing from bottle to bottle, that couldn't happen. So doTERRA stepped in and said, we're going to create a new standard. And they have absolutely interrupted the healthcare industry with their certified pure therapeutic grade. A lot of companies are copying the title therapeutic grade. Does not mean they're doing the testing. doTERRA goes for about 54 rounds of testing before it is put in that bottle and sent off to your house. And of course, as always, doTERRA has healthy side effects. I love side effects that actually make me stronger, healthier, happier, instead of worrying about a guaranteed negative side effect. That's pretty awesome. So typical air fragrances or body fragrances that, when you have a product and it says lavender on it, like you're using a lavender pillow spray or something, if you look at the ingredients, it may list an essential oil, but you will almost always find one little ingredient that says fragrance. And what that is, it can be a lot of different things. Sometimes that fragrance can be an allergen or asthma trigger. That's going to be for certain people who are sensitive. But all fragrance, synthetic fragrance, it is just chemicals put together to mimic. If you looked at the chemicals in essential oil, the testing chart, on that chart, you would see different markers for different chemical constituents. But these are natural chemical constituents straight from the plant as they're meant to be, not altered. Where a fragrance is synthetically replicated to smell the same, does not smell the same, actually. It smells chemically. But those synthetic additives can disrupt hormones in our body. They are hormone disruptors. Some of them are neurotoxins, so they actually interfere with how your brain is communicating with your body, so it interferes with your health. Some are carcinogens, so they're causing cells to not grow properly, to mutate, that's what carcinogens are. Phthalates are under the mask of fragrance. More than 100 ingredients can get masked as the word fragrance. So there could be over 100 synthetic ingredients in one product, and all they have to put on the bottle is fragrance. That's all they have to legally let you know. So fragrance in any health, beauty, perfume, body care, whatever, is not a good thing. Anytime you see fragrance, they're masking something. And it passes from your skin into your bloodstream and affects your health. If you don't know what the rating for your typical perfume or body product is, just go to EWG.org and type in the name, brand, and the scent, and they will bring up a list of the ingredients and what the potential negative side effects could be. Still got lotions. My daughter still uses, she's still got a few lotions. She's not completely switched over, but 90% of everything in our home, my husband, he's long into essential oils. He doesn't own anything anymore. He used to have like a whole row of colognes, but he makes his own now, his own beard oil. My son desperately wanted like Axe body, not Axe, but those body sprays that teenage boys love when they're in middle school. He really wanted some of those. And I said, just give me a chance. Let me help you mix up something that smells similar, what's essential oils. And we did. And what's really cool about it, I don't even have this in my notes today, but what's really cool about it is everything I mixed in his blend for his teenage boy body spray was uplifting, encouraging, confidence building, mind sharpening, for mental energy, not physical energy, because he doesn't need any more of that, was for mental energy. And so I felt really good, him putting that on himself every day, going to school with that mindset, that clarity, that extra support. It's just really cool to put something on that smells good, but also, helps your body and your mind and everything out. But we don't necessarily want to smell like a hippie, right? I mean, I honestly don't mind it. I am there's not an essential oil I will not put on my body and go in public. I am so over it. Like, I don't care. People normally smell me coming, and I get more good compliments than I get bad. I've never had a bad compliment, but sometimes people are like, what's that smell? Is it, oh, Jennifer's here. That's what it is. I take it as a compliment. It's just how we are. And a lot of people around me have switched over just because they're like, that smells really good. Like, well, I can help you out. And so, whether you want to smell like a hippie or not, I don't know. Do you mind? You can mix oils that smell like a perfume. You can actually mix a fragrance together that smells really good, that everybody around you is going to smell and be drawn to. This happened the very first fragrance I ever blended for someone. I feel like I tell so many stories of Rebecca Parker, but here's another story with Rebecca Parker, because there's a big story behind it. She was one of my first guinea pigs, I guess. She really dove into this headlong with me and helped me. She was like, hey, fix me. I have lots of problems. And so one of her first things was, I want something that I can put on my body that's not store-bought perfume, but smells really good. So I ordered lots of different things, because in that time I was like building my collection. So I was like, okay, well, I haven't gotten this one. And I bought Whisper, which is a fragrance blended essential oil on its own, and it changes with your body chemistry. So depending on your body chemistry, it'll smell different for everyone. It was a little too soft and baby soft for her. We did Elevation, which was hilarious because she hated it, and it's my favorite essential oil in the world. It's my favorite blend. And finally I was like, you know what, I'm just going to make you one. And so I'll show you what that blend is in just a minute, but she has used that blend for years, and we've adapted it little by little over the years, or she has. And people literally are drawn to her. They want to smell her. They want to sniff her because she smells so good and so calming. So I'm going to share my screen with you. Hopefully I am. Give me 2 seconds. And if I lose sound, please let me know. That happens because I'm kind of new to this. I think I've got it figured out. Blending Perfume, that's what I want to share with you. Okay. So. Showing the stream. Hasn't popped up yet. There we go. All right, I'm going to hide my face for just a minute. You should still be able to hear me talk, but if you can't, let me know. Okay, so blending Perfume. This is one of my favorite things in the world to do. I'm pausing just a second to make sure I have sound. Yes, I do. Yay. All right, so the rules of blending. We're going to get into this. I gave you a handout. I didn't give you the handout. I gave you a link, and there in that link in this post where we're going live are 2 handouts. One of them are your rules of blending. The other one is just a list of perfume scents I put together for a class I did last year. It was in the spring and summer. If you can't tell, it was like when it was starting to get warmer outside. So they're very springy, summery scents, but it's a good starter. You can trade out oils in there and just kind of play around with it. But the first rule of blending is learn the rules and then forget them. So you can print those handouts. And I don't know, when I started with essential oils, I felt like I had so much information I was trying to hang on to. I put everything in a binder. I don't know how many of you have a binder. Do you have Do you have a stack of essential oil resources in your house? Do you keep it all in your phone? I've gotten smart now. It works for me to put things in Google Drive, and that works quite a bit better for me. But I used to print out everything because I knew I would want it and I knew I'd want to go back to it. And I just put everything in one binder so I knew exactly where to go. So that's what that's for you guys who like to keep a collection of all your resources and things that you learn. And you can pass them on. That's the cool thing, because it's, you know, essential oils are a mouthful sometimes to explain to people. And, you know, if somebody said, you smell amazing, how did you make that? You could literally take these papers and teach anyone else what I'm about to teach you. It is that simple. So there is a process and there are some rules to learn that make it simple, but then you're just going to forget them because this is art and science together. You know, I talk about Enneagram all the time. I'm a 5. 5s are all about the science, all about the, you know, analyzing and stuff like that. But I'm also, if a 5 is right next to a 4 on the Enneagram, and the 4 is the most artsy fartsy number on the Enneagram. And so I have really, as I have like dug into my Enneagram and worked on some of the growth and development in there, I've really learned to embrace my artsy side. It's always been there. This actually is funny. This setup reminds me, I'm sitting at a desk here with, you know, what feels like art supplies, oils, note cards. I used to do this on Saturday mornings with PBS. There was a craft show that came on. I feel like I'm crafting this morning. So I have embraced my crafty, artsy side over the years and let the science and the art come together. And that's what's so beautiful about it. It's my happy place where science and art meet. So print those out, keep those. We're going to go through the rules together. Number 1 is learn them and then forget them and bring out your artsy side. And for those of you who are recipe followers, that's what the recipe sheet's for. You don't have to branch out completely on your own at first. So we want to choose a container, and this is an atomizer in this picture, but you can also use a recycled 15 milliliter regular doTERRA bottle and put a spray top on it. You can use a roller bottle. Now, if you're going to use an atomizer spray or the doTERRA spray bottle or bottle with a spray top, you're going to fill it with water. You can fill it with witch hazel. I don't like that witch hazel kind of changes the smell a little bit. One thing that doesn't change the smell, and it's not technically toxic, it would be drying if you put it, you know, on your skin a lot, would be potato vodka. It evaporates really fast, but leaves the essential oils on your skin. So those are things that you can use as a base when you're making a spray. For roller bottles, your base is going to be a carrier oil. Coconut oil, of course, fractionated coconut oil is going to be your lightest, least greasy, most absorbable base. And that's what we use for most of our blends. And I will show you really quickly. Let me split screen. Let's see if this pops back up. Here we go. So here is a doTERRA bottle that I have just gotten a spray top. And I have these links I'm going to put in the comments for these little spray tops. You can get those on Amazon. If you like to order from Oil Life or Aroma Tools, they're a lot cheaper there, but you know, Amazon Prime, it's super handy. Roller bottle, you can get these from doTERRA. You can also get them from Amazon. I love amber. Amber is like, my whole house is black and white and amber with plants. Like that's my color scheme right now, black and white with plants and amber. But if you want something a little more like girly feminine, they have beautiful rose gold ones with gold lids. They have black ones with gold lids or black ones with bamboo lids for a really classy look. And these are atomizers as well. And it's just a little glass bottle that slips into this usually metal or plastic sleeve. And it is a finer mist spray than, this is your cheapest option, but these are not a fine mist spray. They're going to kind of like drench you. This is just a very light, fine mist when it comes out. Just kind of like a puff, kind of like a perfume, you know, the fancy perfume atomizers. So anytime you see the word atomizer, if you type in just spray bottle on Amazon, you're going to get spray bottles. But if you type in atomizer, it's going to be a very fine, puffy mist. Okay, just want to show you that and we'll move on. All right. Okay, so number 2 is know your notes. This is just like music, you know, and you put it together and you make harmony. You've got bass notes. These are the ones that really hit you at your root. When you smell an essential oil, if you imagine like a bass, bass, a bass playing, there's this low vibration to it, and you feel it from your head down through your chest, all the way down through your stomach. And if you notice, this takes a little bit of practice, but that's one of the things we're going to try today, is when you smell a bass note, you will smell it fill up your chest. It's going to have such a heavy scent that it actually travels down, and it kind of triggers or activates your lower body. It's also called a bass note because it lasts the longest. It usually lasts like 4 to 6 hours or more. Sometimes I have put certain bass notes on, like sandalwood, and smelled them the next day. Like I put some in my hair every now and then, or I put some behind my ears and I'll smell it even the next day. Vetiver is the same way. It just never fades. Sometimes I use vetiver on my dogs because that smell hangs around so long and it calms them down. Those are really heavy bass notes. If you have your oils, hopefully you do. If you haven't gotten your oil collection, if you came in late, grab your whole oil collection. Hopefully it's in a bag or a box, easy to grab. Bring it where you're sitting because we're going to play around with this. So since I'm mentioning bass notes, I want you to take out your vetiver or sandalwood or anything else that you think might be a heavy scent. And I want you to just smell it for a second. So this is, using my imagination here. When I smell this, I can almost imagine that like I'm eating something, like my stomach even just kind of drops and sits a little bit. These are usually your grounding, calming oils. They like set you back down in your body. And so we use these as our base note. The other notes you've got here are heart notes. They're also called middle notes. And I think of the one that I think of the most here is geranium. These notes will fade usually. Some of them might fade like in 20 minutes. Some of them might last an hour. Now if you're gonna put these in a base of coconut oil for a roller blend, they're gonna last a whole lot longer because the carrier oil actually helps it adhere and just stay on your skin and absorb slowly all day so you don't lose the scent as fast. But let's say you just dripped these oils straight out of the bottle onto a hard surface that didn't absorb it. You're not going to smell a heart note for much longer than an hour. Geranium is the one that I think of the most whenever I think of heart notes. And if you have geranium or any other floral oil, grab it real quick. So here's my geranium. I'm almost out. I don't use a whole lot of this one. It's not always been my favorite. I've learned to love it a lot more this year. Something has changed. But once you smell this one, and see if you can't figure out why it's called a heart note or a middle note. When I smell it, what I think of is, it's like I can just, the reason I used to not like it is because it felt suffocating. I felt like it covered my chest and like kept me from breathing. Now it still hits my chest. It just doesn't feel smothery. I actually enjoy the smell, but it is very heart opening. A lot of the florals are heart triggering, heart opening. They fill up your lungs. They open your chest up. So these they kind of fill that middle range. And then your other ones are your top notes or your head notes. And these are the ones that when you smell them, they trigger, in your nose, they trigger in your head, kind of a no-brainer. But one of my absolute favorite top notes to use on any blend, you're going to see it a lot. I have two favorites actually, but probably my all-time favorite is wild orange. A lot of your citruses are going to be top notes. When you smell them, they're very like zingy up in your nose and your head. They could kind of cross over into middle notes, but for the most part, they're a top note. And so grab any citrus that you've got and just smell it for a minute. Kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about. Now, I do feel wild orange a little bit in my chest, but for the most part, I feel it like right up in here behind my nose. Like I don't know, something just like tingles back in there when I smell it. And if you don't feel the tingly thing that I'm talking about, it's okay. If you start to pay attention to it, you will notice it. Okay, so choose your notes. That's just a base of what your notes are. We're going to go through these. Now, this can change. You may smell a certain oil and say, oh, I totally feel that in my head and my chest, where I may smell it and be like, oh, I feel it like way deep down. I mean, normally people don't confuse a top note with a base note, but it is subjective. So what smells like a good middle note for you, maybe a top note for someone else. It is preference. A lot of this is preference. So it's not complete science. A lot of it is just based on what you feel, what you think, what you prefer. All right, moving on, we're going to actually look at some blends. So here's Cozy Sweater. This is the one I was telling you about, Rebecca Parker. Her original blend had a little bit more in it, but this is just a basic blend. We've got vetiver as a base note. I used bergamot, which could be a top note. I use it as a top note sometimes. And then I've used wild orange or bergamot is the middle note, and then wild orange is the top note. And so if you smell, I'm going to teach you how to smell these together in just a minute, how to like blend them before you blend them, to test them before you blend them. But this blend was born out of her wanting a calming, natural scent. And so I'd made it for her. People loved it on her. Then they would come to me and like, can you make me what you made her? And I'm like, I can tell you what oils it is and you can make it yourself. It's super easy, super easy. So I made it, and then we went to convention that year. Several of us went to convention. Allison Taylor went with us, and we were following Christy Driver around, and she had a perfume that she had bought that had vetiver in it, like an actual perfume. Vetiver and bergamot are two of the most commonly used fragrances in the fragrance industry, but they don't use a pure essential oil. They use a fragrance, like synthetic fragrance usually. And I just kept smelling her. She had the sweater on, and I was like, oh my gosh, you smell like Rebecca Parker. And she was like, what are you talking about? I said, I made her a blend and you smell just like her. What is that? So she said it's some perfume, and she hadn't been able to find it in a long time. So when you're at doTERRA convention, you can go up to the product showcase, and they have every single essential oil that they have there, and they have these little test strips. So I said, just hang on a minute. So I got a test strip, and I went around and grabbed all the oils I put in Rebecca's blend, and I blended it up on the card, and I handed it to her, and it smelled just like her sweater. So we had replicated an actual fragrance out there that I didn't know existed. And we laughed and said, we're going to call this blend Cozy Sweater, because she had the most fluffy, furry sweater on, and that is exactly what this blend smells like. So if you think about emotional properties of these oils, vetiver is grounding and focusing, but it soothes the nerve endings of your body and calms you completely down. Like it just, if you imagine all of your nerves are like firing and shooting, and like you really just want to turn all your senses off a little bit or turn them down. It's like turning down the lights, dimming the lights. That's what vetiver does. And so it also, to me, smells like a heavy blanket. Weighted blankets are a big thing right now because I think we're all so stressed and have so many things going on through our head. That weighted blanket just kind of reminds us like, just, you can calm down. You don't have to get up and do anything or figure anything out or fix anything right now. So that's what vetiver does. And then bergamot has been proven to lower cortisol in your bloodstream. And so cortisol is it's kind of that chemical in our body that tells us something's wrong, go fix it. And if that's always pumping through your body, you can't even enjoy the times that you feel like should be enjoyable because you just are slightly on edge, a little bit frustrated, anger and bitterness and things like that are tied to cortisol. And then the wild orange is just like happy-go-lucky, free, feeling just abundant and spontaneous. So you put all that together, it's like a weighted blanket that takes away the edge. The bergamot takes away that, edge of frustration, like there's something to do or fix or there's something not right. And then wild orange just brings in this like playful, happy, sweet smell that hits you in the head and the chest. And so, it just feels like you're wrapping up in a cozy sweater and there's nothing to worry about. That's literally what this blend feels like and smells like. All right, I think I skipped one rule, and that was number 3, know your categories. So you've got floral, herbal, spices, grasses, mints, woods. Roots are kind of in there with woods. You don't have to know anything specific about them. We're not even going to sort them in categories by that today. You just kind of know what you prefer. Do you prefer the floral scents? Do you love the woods? The woods are my favorite. I'm not a fan of mints. The grasses are usually okay. Spices will be like cassia and cinnamon. Herbal would be like rosemary. I usually tend to go for, and citrus. I don't have citrus listed, but that's one of them. I tend to go for citrus, herbal, and woods. And that's pretty much what I put in a lot of my blends. So here you've got vetiver as a wood, and then bergamot and wild orange are citrus. And then number 4 is know the basic ratio. So you got one part of the base, 2 parts of the mid, and then either 3 or 4 parts of the top. And this is just, I mean, like I said, you're going to use your own nose to figure this out. It's an art form to do it yourself, but you want less of the base because it lasts longer. And then it's debatable. Some people like to put more of the mid than the top. I like to put more of the top because it fades the fastest. And so I want it to be the first scent that hits you. Usually the top smells are like first impression smells, and you instantly love them. They're just usually happy, light, you know, carefree scents. And then that mid and that base starts to come in the longer you're wearing it, and it, you know, evens out. But I like for the top note to be what I smell the first right off. So that's why I put more of that. Here's one that my husband makes, smoky spice. Like, this just describes him perfectly. If you like, you know, those like vanilla, tobacco, patchouli, smoky scents, then this is something that your husband, or maybe even you, I've got some ladies who love this blend. So it's 4 drops of arbor vitae. There's your wood or your base note. Patchouli is kind of like, it's an herb, but it also has a little bit of a spice type smell to it. It's mostly herbal, but it borders on that spice scent. And then lime is the citrus in the top note. And so this one just smells very earthy, very smoky, like imagine like leather and tobacco and, you know, the zesty lime. Very manly, but also, again, it's going to change with your body chemistry. So a woman could absolutely wear this if you're into that kind of smell. You could also add Whisper if you want to make it a little more feminine. Whisper makes this really like a musk. If you like women's musky scents, Whisper would soften it and make it like a soft musk. And now the benefits of this one, arbor vitae, is like the oil of let it go. Quit thinking about it. Don't worry about it. The universe is not yours to control or fix. So arbor vitae is just kind of like settle down into yourself and stop thinking so hard. Patchouli is also very like grounding, pulls you into your body. It's the oil of being present. So that goes perfectly with let it go. Quit thinking about it. Just settle into where you are and, you know, stop thinking so hard. And then lime is, it's called the oil of the zest of life. And so if you just want to add like some fun and gratitude right where you are and let go of all the things that you're worrying about, this is a great blend to use as a diffuser blend or as a body fragrance. Okay, and then your coffee. This is where the coffee comes in, other than it's Saturday and I like to drink coffee. But if you will smell coffee beans, there's nothing magical about coffee beans other than they smell amazing. But just the change of the scent will help you when you're smelling a lot of essential oils here in just a minute. The coffee beans just help to reset your nose. So it's just a different smell to throw you off for a minute so that when you go back to the essential oils, you're able to pick up on all the notes of them instead of them all starting to smell the same, because you kind of go a little bit nose blind. All right, so take a sniff of your coffee. And so take a break from your nose if you've been smelling any of the oils I've been talking about. Again, if you're coming in late, make sure you've got your oils next to you because we're going to play. This is a very hands-on, interactive class. We're about to start sorting our collection into base, middle or heart, and top or head notes so that you can pick one from each category and start putting your blend together. Number 5, this is where you forget all the rules. Now that you have an idea that there are different notes, we're going to put them together and trust your nose just to pick whatever you prefer. So make a little room kind of on your table or where you're sitting or just in your lap. I don't care. And do you have any questions before we go on? Does anybody have any questions before we go on? We're about to get into the nitty-gritty of it. Just going to check my phone to make sure. Uh-oh, it looks like I may have lost, I don't know if I lost sound for just a minute, but I think it's on it right now. Okay, so you got your oil collection. Here we go. We're about to start playing around with the notes. Now, I did not mean to go to this slide. I meant to go to this. Oops. It's backwards. I meant to put the one without the notes first. We'll just flip the other way. Okay, so forget any oils you may have seen. I just want you to pick up oils in your collection and just think, if roots and woods are typically bases, which oils would you pick up? And type this in if you want to. I'd like to know what you think are base notes, and this is subjective, whatever you prefer. I typically always, I've already told you that vetiver is a base note, and so if you've got that one, it comes in really handy. It's like I said, the perfume industry uses vetiver more than any other like natural top fragrance out there for colognes and perfumes. And even though alone it smells like dirt, like sweet dirt, you can blend this with some top notes and just completely round it out and make it smell just sweet and lovely. Some other ones that I would pick, I think that cedarwood smells very similar. Yes, Elisa, Arbor Vitae, absolutely, is a base note. Cedarwood, I feel like, oh, I just love cedarwood. It clunks in my heart, and then I feel it like drop down into my chest. I don't know if you have these reactions when you smell essential oils. I think you do. I just don't know if you're aware of them. I know other people do. Arbor Vitae, whoo, like it fills up your chest really fast, and then it also has that kind of like settling down in your stomach, almost like you've just eaten something really satisfying. Other roots, some, you may not know this, but ginger is a root. I mean, if you've ever seen ginger, you would know it is. Now, it's got a spice to it, so it does kind of grab you in the throat, but it then settles down into your stomach. So if you like spicy scents, you might like ginger. It's got a very earthy smell to it. This one to me smells like earth itself, and this is myrrh. Anybody else have any ideas of what might be a base note? Vetiver is like my first favorite base note ever. Well, these probably would tie, but my other second favorite base note would be sandalwood, either one of the sandalwoods. Hawaiian sandalwood. No, this is Indian. Ooh, I like that a lot. I like that so much. I feel like Hawaiian sandalwood hits a little bit higher, but it's still a base note. Indian sandalwood is a little less sweet, in my opinion. So if you don't like the sweet, go for Indian. If you like the sweet and the woodsy together, go for Hawaiian sandalwood. I don't know if I'm forgetting any major ones, but I'm going to put my little, and look at this. This is not like, but they're all like brown and dark labels. I don't know if doTERRA does that on purpose. I have no idea. Never thought of it that hard, but here is a list of suggested base notes. So if you have any of these, grab them. Turmeric is also a root. Magnolia is a flower, but it is a deep smelling flower. It is not your light floral smell typically. Marjoram's kind of straddles the line between a middle and a base note. Yarrow is a flower, but it's a really deep smell. Copaiba is a tree. That one's a deeper smell. It's a not a real strong scent. If you want one that's really going to anchor your scent, I would pick one of the stronger ones like patchouli, sandalwood. I didn't say patchouli, but that's a base note. I'll pull that one out of my bag and add it to my base notes. Cinnamon and cassia, they're spices, but they hit deep. When you smell them, they go deep, and they last for a very, very long time. So make your little pile of base notes. If you've got one that I didn't list, or one that you smell that you think is a base note, add it in the comments so that other people can kind of decide if that's one they want to do or not. All right, and moving on, middle notes. I did this in the right order. So suggested middle notes. I want to know from your suggestions first, what do you think would be a good middle note? I've already mentioned that geranium is one. Geranium hits you all over the chest. When you smell it, it's just like a flower wrapping you up. And I think that one is very similar to that is clary sage. I also didn't used to like clary sage. It has grown on me and actually smells it reminds me of one of my favorite Bath and Body Works scents was white tea and something, ginger, jasmine, I don't remember. Ginger smells great to you, cool. Yes, rose or neroli, absolutely. They're up there in my box. I didn't get those down, but for sure you can pop the top off of them. And I don't know if you have any of the little, I have one handy right here, but the little pipettes, they usually come with a set of roller bottles. You just get a teeny little plastic pipette. You can squeeze it up out of your roller bottle and put it into your blend that you're making. So you can for sure use ginger and neroli if you've got them handy, grab them. I think this is one that actually came out for Mother's Day originally in a fragrance building set, and it's pink pepper. To me, that's a good, it's a little top notish, but when I put it on, I think of middle note. I think of my heart when I put it on. Floral, so clary sage, geranium, neroli, rose, jasmine, pink pepper. Here, let me just show you the list because I'm not remembering them all right now. But keep smelling through your oils and see what you think. Oh yeah, ylang ylang for sure. Floral hits you all over the chest. Lemon eucalyptus is a new one. It kind of has a very fresh top note smell at first, but then it settles in and smells very floral. Oh, juniper, that's a really clean, sweet smell. Lavender. Clove is not one you typically think of in a perfume, but again, this is all about what you like. So you might like those spicier scents. Rosemary, a lot of your herbs and florals are going to fall in here. Herbs can kind of go top note too, but I think rosemary's got enough middle note to it. It is, to me, it's chest warming. And let's see, any more. Eucalyptus, really good for men's colognes. You can mix eucalyptus with a lot of things for guys and kind of make it a lot more of like a sharp cologne smell. Actually, if you're curious, the one that I made for my son that was like a, Axe top body spray was Elevation, which is a blend itself that has a lot of base notes, middle notes, and top notes already in it, and eucalyptus, and I may have added lime to make it more like zesty. And so all of those were like really clarifying for his brain, encouragement building, and it smelled amazing. It smelled like a middle school boy body spray. Top notes, these are easier, I think, because they're like all of your citruses basically. So wild orange, tangerine, green mandarins are really fun. Sweet top note. Bergamot is, I use it sometimes as a middle note, but it's very sharp. Hits you kind of in your nose when you breathe it in. Lemon, lime. This is not a regular oil, and I'm so sorry if you didn't get it, but it was one of our free oils, I think in December, maybe November. White grapefruit. Grapefruit's good, but this oil is like grapefruit on steroids. It has so much more punch to it. Other sharp, light smells like Melissa. Now that's an oil that if you deal with heavy mood in the winter and you're struggling to kind of just find your joy, find your light, Melissa is nicknamed the oil of light. It's a very, very like strong, almost burns your nose smell when you smell it, but add that to your blends. It is definitely a top note and is going to like brighten your mood. And then some of the blends would be considered top note-ish. Elevation, I think, is more of top note. Arise is the yoga blend. That's definitely a top note blend. Citrus Bliss is a good range because it has like deep vanilla, which is your good base, but then all the citruses, so it's kind of evenly spread out. I think Aroma Touch is a pretty good top note too if you like that herb minty kind of smell. Aroma Touch is great for a top note. All right, so let's see what the full list was. If I missed any. Spearmint, peppermint. Now, peppermint is one of those weird ones. It actually is a base and a top note. I think it much more as a top note, but because it hangs around so long and it does hit all of the areas, it can be a base note. I mean, if mint's your thing, go for it. I think tea tree is a good top note because it's kind of like clarifying to your head. When you smell it, it literally clears out mucus and congestion physically, but figuratively speaking, it kind of clears out those toxic junky feelings, that like thoughts that can kind of cloud your head. Makes a good top note that's fresh and clean. Coriander is a sweeter smell. Petitgrain, that's a flower, and it can be a middle or a top, but to me it has much more of a strong, like sharp smell in your nose. Okay, so I hope you've got your categories. I'm gonna go see what the next screen is. This is what we're going to do next, but I want to make sure that you've got your categories all together. So I've got a pile of base notes, a pile of middle notes. I'm going to add a few more to this. Let's see, marjoram, because you never know. You never know. It may not be an oil that you love alone, but mixed with something else, lavender, mixed with something else, you may like it. Now, my lavender doesn't have a sticker on it, but look how pretty, like it's like a bouquet of flowers. So middle note, think like a, you know, sweet bouquet of flowers. And then two of these, one of these labels I've made myself, so it's just white, but then look at your top notes, like punchy light, you know, yellow. I did not plan that, nor did I know that doTERRA has grouped them that way. Another oil I like to throw in, especially for men's blend, is Balance. I would consider that a base note. We haven't talked about blends, and I've only been talking about single oils. Cilantro, I don't think anybody will want to add this to a perfume, but it's definitely a top note. Even though it lasts a really long time, it hits sharp. Coriander, I said, was a top note-ish. Petitgrain, I think, is a top note. So once you've got all your oils, basil is a top note, really, really fresh. Clears up your head, smell it. You know, you feel it in your nose and you smell it. Siberian fir is kind of like borderline mid to base for me. Petitgrain. Oh, you said petitgrain. I think that's when we were talking about middle. I agree. I think petitgrain's kind of mid, like middle to top, something like that. And when you smell this, you're going to understand what I mean. Like you're going to smell, it's like, does it smell too heavy? Does it feel like it needs something to like bring it up a little bit higher? That's where you're going to go into your like middle to top notes. So let's go into actually putting this together. So get yourself a note card. I'm going to put this back up here. Get yourself a note card. If you have time and some scissors, you can cut it in strips and be like all perfumey about it, because they have little perfume strips when you go to smell perfumes. But just a note card will do. Get yourself a pen and pick your favorite base note. So just look at your base note pile and pick one. And we're not going to do anything with it yet. Just take the lid off. I'm going to go for vetiver. No, I'm gonna switch it up. I'm actually going to make a new blend right here with you guys. I say it's new. Who knows? It may end up being one I've already made before. I'm going to do a blend of Indian sandalwood as using my base note. And just take the lid off and waft it under your nose. When you smell it straight from the bottle, sometimes it's deceiving because it's really strong straight from the bottle. So just get the lid and waft it under your nose. Now look at your middle note pile. Pull this down so you can kind of see. That's really hard for you to see. But look at your middle note pile. And what do you want to put with your, I want to go straight for the citrus and the top notes, but I'm going to stop. These are not my favorite. I like my head notes, but I'm going to stop at the heart. I'm going to pick, you know what, I'm going to do pink pepper. I really like pink pepper. So I'm going to take the lid off of pink pepper and waft that with the sandalwood. I like that. I like that a lot. It's not floral. I'm not crazy about the florals. I may end up adding a floral in later if it needs some like sweetness and more to it, but really like that. It's like fresh and clean, but also deep and satisfying. And then I need a top note. It's lacking sweetness to me because the Indian sandalwood is not very sweet. Pink pepper is not very sweet. I'm kind of thinking coriander. I don't have to commit yet, so I can just take the two, pink pepper and sandalwood, and then waft the coriander under it. I don't like that. Don't like that at all. Putting that back. Maybe lime. Lime is not a sweet citrus. It's a zesty citrus, but who knows? It might go with this really well. Ooh, yeah, I like that. I still need something sweet, so I'm going to add another top note. I'm going to go for old trusty wild orange. Hopefully you have your labels on your lid so you don't confuse. Those are 50 cents in your back office, really. Like they're not, the worst part is I forget to order them because I'm always worried about getting my oils and I forget to order my stickers. Okay, that's perfect. I love that. So I've got, tell me what you got. If you've got your oils sitting out, what base note would you pick? What floral or middle note would you pick? And what top note would you or did you pick? And now I'm going to write these down because these are the ones I'm going to start with. I'm going to start in order with the base note, which is Indian sandalwood, just kind of abbreviate them, pink pepper, lime is the next one, and then wild orange. So I've just written them on my card, and I'm going to take each one and turn it up in the same spot and just make sure there's like a dab of the oil. I don't want a whole lot. I don't want to waste my oils on a card. But I just want sandalwood's really thick. The rest of them will pour out, so you won't hold them over your card this long. But sandalwood's so thick, I have to kind of scrape it off. Okay, sandalwood, pink pepper, lime. Ooh, see, that one just pours. And then wild orange. And you're gonna let it absorb for just a second, kind of fan it a little bit away from you, let it blend and mingle together, and then fan it under your nose. Okay, I like it. I didn't get a ton of the sandalwood there, but still think it needs more base note. And while I love the sandalwood in it, I'm going to keep the sandalwood because I like it. And this may just be my preference. I end up putting vetiver in a lot of my blends. I just haven't found anything that has that same like comforting, grounding smell. And I mean, obviously the perfume industry uses it, so it makes sense why I would like it too. So vetiver always has a ton of oil left on the side. So I'm just going to scrape that on there, let that mix and mingle. That's it. That is my blend. So I may add vetiver up above sandalwood. Oh, that sounds so like you. So Elisa is going to do Arbor Vitae Rose Neroli. So like smoky, earthy flowers and red mandarin. That sounds delicious. That sounds wonderful. All right, here we got base note ginger. That is like a punch of a base note. Middle note geranium. That is a super strong floral. It's going to like really wrap up that spicy ginger. And then white grapefruit and coriander. I can't even imagine what that's going to smell like because those are all such, and I'm hating this is showing me Facebook user and I can't tell who this is, but like I almost want to guess based on personality. I knew if I couldn't tell that was Elisa, I would know it was Elisa because of Arbor Vitae. But that is a really, every single oil in there. Coriander is kind of soft and sweet, but every single oil in there is going to be like a strong personality oil. Okay, so once you've got your card, then basically you're ready to start mixing. Now, I did kind of, this is what I did. I put the caps under my nose just to smell. I put them on paper to test them. I adjusted based on my preference. I knew it was missing something, so I filled in the gaps. Kind of knew it wasn't hitting me as much in the base as I wanted it to hit me. I wanted that more comforting smell, so I added more vetiver. Yours may be really heavy, smoky, earthy, punchy, and you might want to add more citrus. Citrus almost always fixes a blend you don't love. If you don't love a blend, add some tangerine or some wild orange or your favorite citrus, and it will almost always kind of bring it all together. Frankincense is another one that kind of, to me, it dances all over the notes. It can be deep and grounding. It can be like top note, lightning. Frankincense is also like a harmonizer, I guess you would call it. And finally, we're just going to mix it up. So this is where you would just pick your bottle. I have a few different options of things if you don't have bottles that you might want on Amazon. Let me get my lids back on my oils. FYI, oils left open exposed to air can oxidize. They lose their properties. So always make sure that you're closing your bottles back up. I mean, 30 minutes or an hour is not a big deal, but if you left one open all night, I mean, that's what the orifice is there for, to help protect it. But I don't know, I'm getting some comments on my phone and some comments on my computer. At least I have them all. I don't know what that's about. The orifice there kind of protects it a little bit, but like if there was no plastic orifice in there and the lid was open, you might want to like chunk that oil or just diffuse it. oxidized oils on your skin can actually cause irritation. So if you ever had an irritated reaction from an oil, there's a chance it was because the oil is oxidized, or it might have just been an intense, spicy oil that your skin didn't love. Okay, so the only thing left to do is mix it up. I've got some containers I'm going to post in the comments after this video. You have got the handouts that are here in the little picture here. The handouts are there for you in that link. That is a Google Drive link that you can just download those and save them. I think you can copy them to your Google Drive if you want to keep them digitally, or print them out, put them in a binder if you like binders. That's how I started. I had to be able to put my hands on it. I had to be able to write on it, put my hands on it, keep everything where it was. So now basically you've got everything that you need to be able to create your own blends. And actually, like, you could make this a party. You could like have your friends over, and I think I might do that soon with some people, because it's just fun. I mean, what's more girly and more fun than sitting down and making perfume blends together, but knowing that they're completely healthy, completely natural, and they just make you feel good. You smell them and they make you feel good without giving you like a headache, like smelling a bunch of perfume would. So I'm curious what you tried. If you made a blend up, now we've got to add numbers. I didn't tell you about that. We've got to add numbers, but you're going to use that ratio. You're going to use the 1-2-3 or the 1-2-4 ratio. And so my base notes, my vetiver and Indian sandalwood would be 1 part of the ratio. My pink pepper is my middle note, so that'd be 2 parts. So double the middle, whatever you put of the base, double the middle note. And then whether I'm doing 3 parts or 4 parts of the top notes, it will be 3 or 4 times as much as the base note. So vetiver and Indian sandalwood for a roller blend. I'll tell you a roller blend, and I'll tell you you can basically half it for a spray if it's a 15 ml spray or a very small atomizer. If it's like a big spray, you just keep it the same. So vetiver and Indian sandalwood, I'm going to do 4 drops total. So I'm going to do 2 vetiver, 2 Indian sandalwood. Then I'm going to do double that. So that's 4 drops total of my base. So that will make double that is 8 drops of pink pepper. And then I'm going to do I like to be heavy on the top end. That's your preference. But I'm going to do double the middle note, or 4 times the base note. 4 times 4 is 16. 4 of the base note drops, so 16 of the top note drops. So there is your recipe. This is my recipe, but that's how you do your recipe. So 1 part, 2 parts, and then 3 or 4 parts. Or just wing it, add a little base note, more middle note, and even more top note, and just get it how you want it. When I'm mixing them, put them in the bottle and I don't add my carrier oil yet. I get the oils in there. I'm not going to do that for time's sake today, but I put my oils in there and I just swirl it, smell it from the bottle, and then I will take and turn it over and then find a place on my arm or my hand that hasn't got oils on it and rub it on and just kind of like waft that under my nose to see what it smells like on my skin, because it will smell different on your skin than it does in the bottle. And that's kind of how I decide, what's it still missing. To me, that's where the top note usually disappears a lot. And that's why I add a lot of top note into mine. And then fill it up with coconut oil, or if you're doing a spray, fill it up with whatever liquid you decide, water, witch hazel, potato vodka. It's up to you. And if you have any questions, let me know. But share your recipe. Whenever you get your recipe put together and you're happy with it and you love it, share it. And we will put together a whole collection of everybody's recipes on here, because the ones I'm sharing with you are they're very summerish, which you may be ready for. But I'd love to know what you guys come up with. The possibilities are endless. You will probably come up with something I've never come up with before. We've got 2 blends. I promise you I've never done Arbor Vitae Rose Neroli and Red Mandarin. Wouldn't have even thought of it. And then I would never have thought to put ginger, geranium, white grapefruit, and coriander together. So I want to try these out. I'm sure other people want to try them out. Share what you try so that we can try out your blend. And all right, if you have any questions about blending, let me know. I think I've shared. It's so simple. I don't think there's really anything else to share. But if you have any questions, please ask me in the comments. I'll come in and pop in explain more. And I will add all of the links to all the different bottle choices. If you want to kind of branch out and get some pretty bottles, I'll add those links in the comment as soon as we get off here. You guys have an awesome Saturday and have fun playing with your oils, and then go organize your oil collection back together once you've sorted them out. Bye, everybody.